mic check. Yep. Let me just. Yep, that's live. Excellent. All right. Let's see if we can. Where's it gone? There you go. Aha. Welcome everyone. This is the Betterment Broadcast, show 105. So that's the 105th show. Oh yeah. Excellent. Good stuff. So, I'm your host, Rap Raven, and we shall go through our formatives, our formative, all that good stuff. We're gonna start with important information. Very important you know this important information. So remember it. So when you go and you talk to people, you can quote these lines here. When it comes to working as a collective with only Black people on matters that benefit Black issues, Black progression, and Black ownership, Black people are collectively inadequate. Unfortunately, it's a shame, yes. When it comes to us working as a team on our own benefit, we are underdeveloped and we struggle. We haven't really been trained how to do that, unfortunately. And there's many obstacles. But this program is a solution to that. And so is the lifestyle we promote, but we shall move on to that. Also, individually, you might find a non-Black person who shows some kind of camaraderie towards Black people. However, collectively, Black people have no friends. Very important quote as well. If you remember that, you'll do well. It means you don't have to rely on other people. You can rely within your group and fix your own issues. Hooray! Hurrah! Good day! Ta-da! Anyway, so and last, but by no means least, and the most important in my opinion, constructive Black man with constructive Black woman makes a constructive Black family. That's how you do it. If you don't know, now you know. These three important information, if you can just remember them when you're walking through the world, when you're trying to help Black people, you know, this will keep you grounded. This is your mantra, a mantra. This will help you. It's very good. I find it very helpful. Try to say it as many times as you can to people. I've highlighted in white. That's the shortcut one. So all together now, Black people are collectively inadequate. That's right. Collectively, Black people have no friends. And constructive Black man with constructive Black woman makes a constructive Black family. There you go. There you go. There's our starting point. Now we're gonna throw the link out at some point, and we love brothers and sisters to jump in and have good constructive conversation. But to help you, let's not forget there are 4D values, which are discipline, dedication, dignity, and discernment. Use these 4 things when you're helping Black people, and it will be easier. I can guarantee you. Try it. Let me know how you feel. All right, cool. Also, we cannot use derogatory language if possible. Try to minimize that unless we're like referencing something or we're doing a case study. Try not to call other Black people derogative names, and also try not to talk about other people groups in derogative terms. Black people tend to not like that. It causes anxiety, so don't do that. Thank you very much. Right, so what is Black Betterment? Here you say, well, Black Betterment is Black people helping Black people on Black issues for betterment. That's what it is. Now you know. If you didn't know, now you know. So that is defined as a lifestyle. So I and the people who jump on the show regularly practice a lifestyle of Black betterment. That's right. Black people helping Black people on Black issues. Now, if we got very essential people to practice this, you will see a progression amongst the Black collective. So that's what we're trying to do. We're promoting that lifestyle. Now, we are going to show some videos. These videos are not ours. They are copyrighted. So please do not try to strike our page if it's not your video, whatever. We're going to use a case study today. And because today's topic is, and by the way, I'm not going to forget, but please follow the Black Betterment Building Instagram page. I'm going to put it out there. I know you do. A big up, Rabbi C3. All right. So once again, we're on part 3 of Queen Focus. Okay. So today we are focused on Empress tattoo. It's either Taytu or tattoo, depending on how you pronounce it. And yeah, so that's what today. So every week for a couple of weeks, we're going to be focusing on a Black woman historically or even modern times who has done constructive things for her people group. Things to remember. And so the Empress of Ethiopia is one we're going to focus on today. And after that, we're also going to discuss how to discern the Little Mermaid actor choice. It's actually actress, isn't it? Because let me update that when we're playing the thing. I know that's going to cause an issue. Yeah, I'll update that now. So, oh yeah. And anyway, so blah blah blah. There we go. Yeah. So if those don't know, Disney, famous animation company, they make films now. Well, they've always made films, but a lot of they made a lot of their money making what do you call it? Making cartoons, and they were very successful back in the olden days. Before they switched to CGI, they still do that, I guess. But what they did, a lot of their famous hits from all the way from the 40s to I want to say 98, maybe, or maybe early 2000s, or probably 98. I don't know, or maybe early 2000s. A lot of their cartoon hits they're pushing into film, and obviously they're now finding humans to play these cartoon roles. And naturally, many of the cartoons that Disney made were usually of European descent, unless they were animals. I mean, most of the time, if they were doing any kind of African Indian thing, it would be animals. Um, there was one. Their first ever black princess was in the Prince and the Toad. Some Princess and the Toad. Don't know the name because I don't know the name, but it's why it's like it's a woman kissing frogs, um, and yeah. So that was a lot. That was like the first and last black princess they had. But before that, you never really got black. I don't think, to be honest, with you, I don't think. I'm thinking now. If I'm being honest, I don't think there has been a black person in a Disney film. If you guys know any black people in a Disney film before the frog and that kind of thing, let me know. I don't think no, this probably wasn't no. But what else did happen? So there was no. Yeah. Hmm. Yeah, I'm trying to think. It's actually baffling now. Yeah, fair enough. A lot of them were about animals and dogs and cows and stuff, but generally, when they had humans, it was tend to be a Arab, Asian, European, of course, not really African or Caribbean or anything like that. Not even African American. No, I'm trying to think. If you think of one, let's throw some in the comment. But that's a little competition there. So the competition for this week is find out a black person in a Disney film. That's a feature film, cartoon. That's not in the Princess and the Frog, whatever it's called. Anyway, yeah. Now they're making a film of one of their famous films, was Little Mermaid, and Little Mermaid. She was under the sea. I think it was in the Caribbean. I maybe it was what it was. There was a crab who was from the Caribbean, so I assumed it was in the Caribbean, but maybe it was in Europe, and he just traveled as Caribbean people do. I don't know. I want to say it's Caribbean, but either way, the underground empire was once again they were not humans, they were mermaids and mermen, but they were obviously mermaid men and mermaids of European descent. And now what they've done is they've wanted to have a mermaid of African descent. See, and this is causing a bit of a hullabaloo. So we're going to cover it today. Just how we can discern this. But before we get there, I'm going to correct that typo because it should be actress, and just because I feel like I should. And meanwhile, we shall watch something about Empress Tattoo, which I believe I have. So have a listen. Tell your friends. We're learning about important black women in history. I want to say it's this one. Play. Here we go.
Yo, guys. Today we're going to be talking about Empress Taytu Betul. Empress Taytu Betul was the queen of Ethiopia from 1889 to 1913.
All right.
The queen was born around 1851 and was the third child of 4 children. She was daughter of an aristocratic Ethiopian family. Both her mother and father were from noble families. It is said that she would never be able to bear children due to female genital mutilation practices when she was a child. In 1853, her father would die from battle wounds, and her mother would remarry an administrator of a monastery. Growing up, Taytu was very proud of her heritage and had a good education as well. She was fluent in the ancient classical Ethiopian language of Ge'ez as well. She could also write and read in Amharic. This was rare in these days for a common Ethiopian woman. She loved to play chess, string traditional Ethiopian instruments such as the lyre and the begana, and also loved to write poetry. Taytu would marry 3 times and started marriage at the age of 10. Her first husband committed a crime and she had to suffer with him. Her second husband beat her, and when she left this marriage, she would take part of his wealth and servants with her. She would then meet the prominent and upcoming political power, which was Menelik II after her third husband. In 1883, Taytu would marry Emperor Menelik II at a full church service. This marriage could have been love, while others state it was to connect powerful families and create strong political ties. During this marriage, Menelik II was still king of Shewa. But just a couple of years later, in 1889, Menelik would rise to become king of Ethiopia. Taytu would then become queen of Ethiopia and played a vital partner to King Menelik II. King Menelik II was known to not like unpleasant decision making, so his wife would help him to make these hard decisions. The two would go on to found the capital city of Addis Ababa and push to progress and modernize roads and bridges. This would make travel easier for trade.
All right.
They also upgraded the hospital system, created the national bank, railways, telephone services, postal systems, education systems, and created a modern currency. King Menelik II would usually say, "Yes, tomorrow," on a lot of issues he found unpleasant. Queen Taytu would step up and say, "Absolutely not," to issues the king did not want to refuse. The queen was a very valuable advisor to the king, and the king would consult with her before making important decisions. Her loyalty to her country and intelligence towards foreign affairs, military, administrative, political, and domestic politics put the queen on a higher level. Just 6 years later, the colonization of Africa would finally come to Ethiopia. Soon after, the Italians would send a treaty which would try to fool the king and queen of Ethiopia. The Treaty of Wuchale in 1889 had two different agreements in two different languages. The Ethiopian Amharic version stated that Ethiopia as a country was recognized and its relationship with Italy would be diplomatic, while the Italian version stated that Ethiopia would become a protectorate of Italy. To make sure the treaty was the same in both languages, the king and queen made a royal counselor read thoroughly through the Italian version. As soon as the counselor found out lies from the Italians, the queen would tear up the treaty and stated strongly to King Menelik II to declare war. The queen would rather go to war than be a child of a country and people with less history than her. She stood strong on her point and even told her husband not to be even an inch diplomatic to the Italians who tried to.
Welcome, everyone. For those who join in, this is Queen Focus Part 3. We're focused on Empress Taytu of the Ethiopian Kingdom Empire. And we're halfway through the video now. We're gonna chop it up and listen, and it's good to see what Black women, African women were doing in the past and in the present. All that good stuff. So have a sneak peek, bon appetit.
To take Ethiopians as stupid. Emperor Menelik II would soon after declare war on the Italians. The Italians, Europe, and many world countries were convinced that Italy would conquer Ethiopia swiftly with a landslide on the battlefield. In 1896, Italian troops would try to conquer Ethiopia from the eastern part of the country with heavily armed Italian troops. Queen Taytu wanted to be on the front lines with her troops, so she would ignore higher officials who told her to stay in the capital. She would mobilize thousands of women and men and motivated them from retreating. These men and women were not soldiers, but she would mobilize them to fight with shields, swords, and spears. In the country's time of need, this is the decision she thought was best: every able body to defend the country. The queen would also strategize key war efforts. Maybe her greatest plan was to control the Italian fort of Mekelle by controlling the Italians' water supply. This campaign was approved by Emperor Menelik II, and the queen and soldiers would head out. This was not an easy plan to make Ethiopian soldiers accept. Most thought that attacking the fort would be more effective. The queen would go through with her tactic, and 900 Ethiopian soldiers would control the Italians' water supplies. The Italians would go thirsty and would surrender the halfway completed fort over to the Ethiopian forces in 1895. During the campaigns, the queen would command close to 5,000 infantry and 600 mounted soldiers. Ethiopian intelligence also warned the empress to attack at Ottawa and not another fort where the Italians had a very protective military base. Under Queen Taytu's brilliant military strategy, she would lead Ethiopian forces to defeat Italian troops. This humiliating defeat was printed on papers around the world and would show the world that Ethiopians were not people to play with. This was very important because even other African nations, kingdoms, or empires who won wars would be suppressed and not published for the world to know. This battle, known to have stopped the colonization of Italians, was the Battle of Ottawa. A few years later, in 1906, Emperor Menelik II would lose his health. Empress Taytu would exercise her power as queen. The meaning of the emperor's name is sunshine, and she would persuade Emperor Menelik II to build a house near the hot springs. She would grant nobility's land here and name this new area Addis Ababa. Addis Ababa is the capital of Ethiopia, making Queen Taytu the founder of the city, along with Emperor Menelik II. Addis Ababa's meaning is new flower. In 1918, the queen would die and become the legend to some she is today. So yo guys, we learned about a warrior queen that took no mess at all. So yo guys, please like and subscribe, turn on your bell notifications so you can get all my videos. Add me on all social medias, which are Afric Network, which is Instagram, Twitter, SoundCloud, Snapchat, and Facebook. Each one teach one. Always love each other, always learn from each other. And yo guys, until next time, peace to Ethiopia. One love.
There you go. So make sure you go follow that brother's page is called, hold on, friend of mine, Afric Network. Afric Network, yeah, that's right. There you go. So follow that. All right. So what we're looking at today we have Queen Focus, Empress Taytu. Just looked at a 10-minute video. I hope you made notes and all that good stuff, and you go and you Google and you get inspiration and all that good stuff. Every week we are doing Queen Focus, so important Black women history. I have a list. I'm going through that list, but if you have any recommendations, it is a community network. Where, you might be from Somalia, you might be from Guyana, you might be from Jamaica, you might be from America, you might be from who knows, anywhere, who knows. But there's any person in that land, a woman that is, who you want to highlight, who might not have been highlighted, let us know. We'll do as long as there's information we can find on it, we'll do like a 10-minute presentation just to teach the family. Feel free, just when you like. So that was Queen Taytu. Now, what we're going to do, we're going to go to second topic. And the second topic is we discuss how to discern the Little Mermaid actress. I've changed that for those. Let me go back so you can see. I'll let you update that. Actress choice, yes. So, lady, if you have a screen on your phone or your PC, the lady to the far left is the sister. Let me try to get their names and stuff and there's some stuff as well. Let me find it so I can read it out as well. I don't want to get information wrong. Also, there's something that happened as well. There's also a video, I haven't got it here, of I think they took some AI and someone somewhere. There's a trailer where she's singing and whatever it is, and they changed her to a white woman, like using technology and stuff like that. That's been circulating and all that kind of stuff. So yeah. So, not too many people best pleased. So, obviously, I use the term discern. So, we're going to try to really unpack it in the way that's most beneficial to Black people. So, what the way I look at it is this, right? Two answers. Is it problematic? Is it not problematic? Let's see. So, race swapping, as they call it. Is it problematic when you have famous, non-Black people that they make Black? In situations like pantomime, this kind of stuff, I don't think anyone cares. I think when it comes to like historical or famous characters that people love, that's when things start kicking off. Now, before I say whether I like or dislike it, I would say this, that white people, Europeans, have been race swapping for thousands of years, from books to plays, then to TV and stuff, right? And it's something that white people have practiced consistently to the point where now people don't even know that certain people have been race swapped. So that's like before we have our opinion about whether we agree with the Little Mermaid becoming African descent world. That's how you have to know. And just to update us, there's one brother here. He's got some European guy. He's got some kind of video. So let's have a see to the extent of what we're saying.
Hello, I'm the Nostalgia Critic. I remembered, so you don't have to. Let's talk about whitewashing. Stop! Obviously, this is a subject everybody has a strong opinion on, especially given the news recently. Two big movies have just done previews, a trailer from Marvel's Doctor Strange and a still from Paramount's remake of Ghost in the Shell. The internet flipped, as both films were accused of whitewashing, which, for those who don't know, is when a person who's supposed to be of a certain ethnicity is suddenly played by a white person. In Ghost in the Shell's case, people were upset because Scarlett Johansson was playing what was originally an Asian character, and in Doctor Strange's case, a Tibetan man is now being portrayed as a Celtic woman, played by Tilda Swinton. This is a touchy subject that's making a lot of people feel enraged. Whitewashing is an art that, let's face it, white people have mastered bullshitting for years. Which is all the more reason to get upset. People can't believe that it's still going on. Is America, home to so many different cultures and races, still resorting to the same offensive tricks? Have things really gotten better, or have we just disguised our hypocrisy even more? Well, for Ghost in the Shell, originally a Japanese property, there is one group of people that, for the most part, doesn't seem to have that big a problem. The Japanese! Granted, we obviously can't speak for all of them, but when asking random Japanese people on the street what they thought of the casting of the film, most of them seemed pretty okay. Not only did they say she looked like the character, but they also knew it was an American film, and American films have mostly white actors.
So interesting. We should cover that at some point. The Japanese kind of thing. So in Japan makes a lot of content based upon mangas, which is their version of comics, anime, which is their version of animation, I guess, and films. But we'll focus more so, and video games. They make a lot of video games. Now, what's interesting with Japan is, there's Japanese people on the screen. Historically, when people draw them, historically, they will always draw black people being dark brown, Japanese and Chinese being yellow-esque, and Europeans being, pinkish, or pink, I guess. Yeah, pink. A peach. Probably peach is a better word, peach. But when Japanese make their mangas and make their anime, what they do is and I maybe should cover it because it's interesting. They draw their skin to white, pretty much, and their faces are very obscure in the sense of it's big eyes, small mouths, this kind of, but it's more of a stylized image when you watch anime and mangas, this kind of stuff, right? And then what tends to happen is the West will buy a property or lease a property from Japan, and when it comes to, rather than making it based in Neo Tokyo or Tokyo, they base it in New York or London or whatever, and they're just that's what the kind of being the practice is. So there is a culture of expecting that, but also the ease of that because of how the characters tend to look in Japanese anime, and there was I remember someone mentioning that that might have been the issue itself, that the way they naturally draw their stuff, like they might be, without even knowing it, more European driven than actual Asian driven. But that's another topic altogether. And yeah, so that happens a lot. So what you're seeing here is these things, and when they're watching it, they're probably looking at it from a perspective of, this is an American version, so it's going to be played by Americans. You see, that's how they're probably perceiving it. Who knows?
I guess in hindsight, if Japan did their version of, say, Superman and they cast a Japanese actor in the role, Americans probably wouldn't care. I think most people are assuming too that because the film is made by Americans, it probably wouldn't take place in Japan. The same way The Ring or The Grudge were Asian properties, but clearly weren't filmed in Asia and didn't star Asian people. Or the same way they remade Seven Samurai in the Old West, the first time. In fact, there's tons of remakes of foreign films that have done this, as well as replaced the actors with white Americans, but have never gotten criticized. Even to this day. So, why is this one getting so beaten up? Well, there could be a couple reasons. One could be the character struck such a chord with anime fans that the identity was so tied to her Japanese heritage. Or, most likely too, America has so many Asian American actors, some of which are even featured in the film, that it seems pointlessly silly not to cast one in the leading role. They are still, after all, Americans. I also keep hearing that there's no Asian American actors big enough to guarantee a good box office. Well, first of all, there's tons of Asian American actors, and many of them are very successful. But I know what they mean when they say none of them are as big as Scarlett Johansson. Sure, star power is important, but guess what? Some of the highest grossing movies and franchises don't have huge names as the main characters. Who heard of Daniel Radcliffe before Harry Potter? Who heard of Christopher Reeve before Superman? Most of the names in Avatar aren't that huge. Harrison who? Star what? Bomb. But what about Doctor Strange's case? Is there really a bias against Tibetan actors?
So anyway, so that's a small, I'm going to say the whole guy thing. Basically, there is a history of whitewashing. So the reason we're viewing this, because obviously there's an issue with, apparently, with the Little Mermaid becoming black, and obviously there's a history of Europeans turning black and Asian and all that characters white, and there was not really much of a kickback, I guess, because they're doing what they're doing, right? But yeah, now there's a thing. Now, here's where I'm practicing slight discernment, right? Personally, if black people get work and I'm happy for them, and whatever. From a continuity standpoint, I don't like race swapping. Me personally, I like the art of movie making and submersive stuff, whatever. Fantasy and this kind of stuff. I guess you can bend it because it's fantasy, whatever. But generally, I personally don't. However, what's more important than that is I think we keep coming across this issue that we always seem to be hitting up, and that is dark skin, non-black people, permission, and this kind of stuff. And I think at this point now, there should be a spearheaded, dedicated movement to creating movie studios of black content, black story writers, all this kind of stuff, right? So I think that's the true solution. Rather than should they be white, should they be black, I think actually creating your own stories, your own movie companies, your own cinematographer, all that good stuff, right? And focus on the black issues. Now, we're gonna say this because, funny enough, I just found out that there actually is a black author who's made a book called The Deep. Right, let me see if I can get a name. The Deep. It's one of them names where there's probably like 20,000 books of the same thing. There we go. The Deep is a fancy book by Rivers Solomon. Oh, that. Let me just make sure that's the same beat. Hold on. Yes, yeah, that's because sometimes it's someone else and it's a bit confusing. Anyway, so there's a book called The Deep, right? And The Deep is about not give away too much. 2000 Chicago public radio program. Oh no, that's the background. The synopsis. There's water breathing merfolk, descendants of thousands of pregnant African slaves who were thrown overboard from the ships crossing from the Atlantic. Very deep stuff there. So apparently there's very, very strong stuff there. So the enslaved African women who were thrown overboard, they gave birth in the sea, and that gave, I guess, rise to merfolk. Even the name merfolk is interesting. Hold on. Merfolk. Merpeople. Is that like a new... That's interesting. Female merfolk are referred to as mermaids. Although in strict sense, mermaids are confined to beings of half women, half fish in appearance. Male merfolk are called mermen. Okay, now I know. So anyway, there's a book called Deep from a lady called Rivers Solomon. Interesting, her name's Rivers. Did she make that up? No, that's her name. She wrote a book called The Deep, that's based in the sea. Just a little side note. I think, was it this lady I came across? Let me just make sure. I don't want to get it wrong. Hold on. Click. Side note, River Solomon's interesting. She's very modern in the sense because I'm reading her profile, and we always have to practice discernment. Solomon is a non-binary and intersex. So there's a black woman who's I'll probably call it wrong. Let me start again. So okay, Solomon is a non-binary and intersex, and states that the use of they and fur and they and them pronouns. I think I said that right. The they and fur. That's a new one. Ain't seen that one before. Thank you, Wikipedia. They describe themselves as dyke, okay, and she beast. And exile. I don't know if this is all creative language now. I think she might be a very creative person, just shouting out words in this thing. As of 2018, the Solomon lives in Cape. Oh, she's a British woman. Okay, well, she's not British. Sorry, originally from the States. So there's a woman who's from the States, black lady, black, non-binary individual. I don't know anything about this kind of stuff, so you have to invite someone to obviously walk us through that stuff. But that one of those behaviors is yeah. And they're from the States, and this person went to live in the UK in Cambridge. All right, that's a bit of money, and writing books, and one of the books is about mermen, merfolk. Sorry, that's a black woman. So once again, here is a book that a black company can now. Obviously, I don't know if she identifies as non-binary and intersex, Not sure if that affects the story in any kind of way. Uh, who knows? Maybe. But let me tell you who does know. This lovely lady here who's reviewed the book. So we're gonna have a little listen to the woman who reviewed the book. If she says any spoilers, we'll turn it off. But just to give us a little quick review.
With
Rewind.
Hello everyone, it's
Hello.
Sage, and today I will be talking about The Deep by Rivers Solomon with David Diggs, Jonathan Snipes and William Hudson. A sincere thank you to Saga Press for a copy of this book. This was one of my most anticipated books of the year.
The Deep is a fan. So The Deep is the book we're reviewing by Rivers Solomon. And we're talking about this because right now the Little Mermaid has been turned black and there's a hullabaloo. And I guess the solution is write your own books, have your own black media companies, and make your own films about black mermaids. So I'm just practicing discernment. Let's go.
Fantasy story inspired by a song from the group Clipping, and it draws from history. During the slave trade, when slaves were brought from Africa to America by boat, they would throw overboard all the pregnant slaves because they were seen as inconvenient cargo. The Deep reimagines this horrific event, envisioning the children of these slaves surviving on the water and creating a society.
So already a very shocking story, but it really sounds more interesting than Under the Sea with, reggae crabs and kings with tridents. Just saying.
I think it's so incredibly powerful to take something so tragic and then transform it into a story about perseverance. An alternative history in which the descendants of these women get to live and prosper underwater. The story focuses on Taytu, who is the historian of her people, the Wajinru. This, by the way, translates to the song or chorus of the deep. Their past being too painful to regularly remember, Taytu has the sole duty to remember their history. As you can imagine, carrying 600 years worth of memories that include a lot of pain is not a small task. Caving under the weight of her responsibility, Taytu flees to the surface. And through this journey, she learns more than she ever expected about the past and future of her people. I really like this story, though at the start I was struggling a bit because there were a lot of words that I was stumbling over. I had no idea what they meant. So I was like, oh my gosh, is this going to be above my reading level? But then after 20 or 30 pages, everything was fine and it was really smooth sailing from then on.
Smooth sailing?
I actually enjoyed Solomon's writing. It's very beautiful. The story building was super cool and I really enjoyed the way the story was structured. The book shifts back and forth through time, so whilst you're reading about Taytu, you also get to learn more about the history of the Wajinru and how the position of the historian came to be. I love a good origin story and this one was really good. I think it's so unique in the way that...
Now family, I'm posting the link for anyone to jump in to talk about these two topics. If no one jumps in this week, we will have a short week, as we always do if you don't jump in. But let me just, hold on. There you go. Let me pin that up so anyone who jumps in can see. Oh, come on, where is it? Is that it? No, it's that one. All right, pin message. Da 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 da. Oh yeah, excellent. Blah 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 blah. So what we're doing today, we're talking about the Little Mermaid turning into a black woman, which is obviously a good thing. It's always good to see black people on TV, but not many people are not best pleased. So the solution is write books about black mermaids, which has been done by a non-binary black woman, non-binary person, who wrote a book called The Deep. And this fine sister here is giving her feedback on the book, or at least a synopsis or something like that. Just 1 minute so there.
That these mere people communicate through electricity and they live in the depths of the oceans.
Really? Electricity underwater? I guess it's possible.
So they can't see with their eyes. There were so many things, even only anatomically, that made these characters very interesting. The most interesting thing for me were definitely the memories. By carrying all these memories for 20 years, Taytu has been completely consumed by them and she doesn't know where they end and she starts.
All right.
As a consequence, Taytu is more a shell of a person than anything else. But it was very exciting to see how inquisitive she became after she reached
Family, the link is in there. We're reviewing a book called The Deep. We're just looking at whenever non-black people are not best pleased with black people getting put in any kind of position. Do your own thing. Right now, Little Mermaid is played by a black lady. People not best pleased. So we're saying, is there any Black Mermaid books? Yes, there is. Is there any Black Mermaid books written by black persons? Yes, there is. What's the name? The Deep. Is there any black movie companies? I believe there are a few in Nigeria and one or two in America. So maybe black people making their own products might be the solution. Who knows?
The surface, and I would definitely not mind a sequel that really focuses on Yetu as a character. This was actually a really quick read. It has about 170 pages, so I don't want to talk too much about it so I don't spoil everything.
Good. It's good when people don't spoil things. I don't like it when people give away plot twists.
But there was one thing that really resonated with me, and that was the question of whether or not it is good to remember your history. And it's funny because a couple of days ago I was talking on Instagram about how hard it is for me to read a lot of black literature because our history is embedded in so much pain that it's just hard and painful to read about it. And this book showed that even though your history might be painful, it is still very important to remember it. Because in the end, it's hard to know who you are if you refuse to learn about the people who came before you. And most importantly, you don't have to carry this history on your own. Sharing in this common heritage can provide a lot of solace, and I think that's really beautiful. That's everything I had to say with regards to The Deep. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments section, and before I end this video, I would just like to read a part of a poem written by Lucille Clifton. Atlantic is a sea of bones, my elegant Afrikaans connecting Widder and New York, a bridge of ivory. Seabed, they call it. In its arms my early mothers sleep. Some women leapt with their babies in their arms. Some women wept and threw the babies in. Maternal armies paced the Atlantic floor. I call my name into the roar of surf, and something awful answers. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.
There you go. So, what is it? I don't know the name of that page. I should have got the name down. Did they put it again? Should have put a title up. Oh dear. So anyway, family, let's go back to the topic. So we did a Queen focus that was on Empress Tattoo of Ethiopia. Very, very good 10-minute introduction there for those who don't know. That was good. And then we discerned about the Little Mermaid actress choice. Like, was it good? Was it bad? Is there solutions? How could it be resolved if there was an issue at all? And then we looked at black authors who made similar, or maybe even superior, especially within depth of context and content and stuff. Books about merfolk and all the mers. And we came across a book called Deep by Rivers Solomon, a African-American person who lives in the UK, Cambridge, apparently. That's all Wikipedia says. So yeah, there you go. That's what we learned today. We learned two things. Now, I've put the link out, family. I've got some. I'm engineering some project at the moment. Engineering. If you sound engineering is people think it's music. It's more of a science. It takes a lot of energy. So I actually want to get this done before tomorrow. But and I do my best work when it's late at night. So I'm probably going to leave and do that unless someone jumps in. Remember, this is a community show. So if you wish to jump in to discuss the topic, feel free. We shall be going off the air a nice 40-minute, maybe 50-minute show. Let me be kind and generous. So, we'll be going off at 10:50. All that good stuff. But what I'm saying, just we go back to the beginning. Very important point. Please remember when you go out to be constructive. To have a purpose, to try to create institutions and stuff that are dedicated to black people. I think there's a video I saw out with. I want to say his name is John Boyega. I probably say his name wrong because I'm a bad person. If those know, there was the black guy who was in Star Wars and some other films, but that was one that I think made him more popular. I think. And yeah, there was a lot of hoopla about him in there as well, final. But he was on, I think, the Breakfast Club. I want to download it, but I just didn't have time. But he said something about black women. It's very important. Just about find a good black woman, all that good stuff, right? And what I'm gonna do is maybe in my intro, I might start putting quotes about black businesses, black love, black, whatever, just quotes and audio clips as the time is ticking. So, me, it takes so long to do stuff, who knows? But that might be an idea. But let's read some of the comments. That's what I should have been doing. Sorry, guys. So we're going to go, zoomed in. Don't zoom in. All right, we're Black Band Building, blah, blah. The Black Escape, this is from Brother IC3. The Black Escape Code is peril, temporary or permanent release of prisoners before expiry sentence on the promise of good behavior. Let's see if there's anything. He mentioned Japan. What's it? There can be no black media until the system of white supremacy is nullified. There you go. So he's very strong until the white supremacy has been shut down and nullified. The black media is going to struggle. That's what there's. Escape is peril for black people. A promise of undertaking given by a prisoner of war not to escape, or if released, not encourage in hostile or to return to custody under state conditions. Okay, very interesting. White supremacy racist prison escape plan for black people as one, identify prisoner for parole, two, prepare parole applications, three, apply with leverage white supremacy. So you see, Brother IC3 is on his game, reading a lot of books and pushing down ways to process stuff. Interesting. But once again, let's go through that important information that when you leave here, you will find this very handy to keep you motivated and as information to give to people when you're trying to be constructive. When I ask you why are you spending so long trying to make black industries, black books, black media? Because unfortunately, black people are collectively inadequate. Maybe what I should do as well is I should break down each topic of how it relates to these things. That would be interesting. So obviously, the first quote is, when it comes to working as a collective with only black people on matters that benefit black issues, black progression, and black ownership, black people are collectively inadequate. Now, we looked at today, there's a European company called Disney. We know that the guy who funded Disney despised black people. We also understand there's a vote. We will cover that as well, the Disney vote. And they're not the only ones. Disney has a vote. I think MGM has a vote. Definitely Warner Bros. Has a vote. We should cover that. That'll be interesting. These are votes of videos that they don't want people to see because they were practicing racism. I think Tom and Jerry have released some of their stuff. They just put a quotation like, we apologize. Back in the day, it was okay. That kind of stuff, right? But yeah, so we know that Disney practiced racism. And we know that you got to understand, when it comes to making animation, it could take years. It takes a lot of effort, a lot of discipline. It's hard work. So the thing that you would sit down for years to make cartoons based on mistreating black people, but it was popular back in those days. But anyway, so we know that historically Disney didn't like black people, and we understand that a lot of their content, if they were to cover Africa or the Caribbean, it'll be about animals. It wouldn't be about black people or people. So in the last anime film they did was about a black woman, and I think there was some issue there where they never identified the husband from a land, so he might have not even been black. He could have been like, a tanned Asian, so I don't know, who knows. This is what a lot of people that people were saying when they saw it. But the woman was African American, whatever. But yeah, so interesting. Like they couldn't find a black prince or whatever. But yeah, it's but that was good that they made the prince at least melanated. Like the assumption was he was black. That's good because that's important. But either way, the moral of the story is how it connects to black people are collectively inadequate. You see, now had we been getting our own movies dedicated to that, this Little Mermaid thing won't be an issue because we'll have our own. And there's one book made from an African American person who lives in Cambridge called The Deep, and the story seems much more, but it's a bit more sad to be honest. But there's a lot of pain that black people have gone through, and you're going to capture the pain. So once again, that's where how historically we've been a bit inadequate when it comes to doing our own thing, and this backlash of white people wanting anything white is going to keep coming because that's what they want. So the best thing to do is do your own thing. So that's how we are practicing discernment on that, and that's how black people are collectively inadequate and how we can learn from today's topic. Now, collectively, black people have no friends. How does that connect to this week's topic? Well, as you see, we showed a little video of whitewashing. Here, let's see if we can skip through it here.
Good-looking white man on his husband, white people. Hey, you remember all those animes starring Japanese people? Practically all of them are redubbed by white Americans. In fact, there was even a Cowboy Bebop movie in the works for a while that was going to star Keanu Reeves, and people were actually excited about it. Wait a minute, how come this gets a pass but Scarlett Johansson doesn't? But it doesn't stop there. Belle's not French, Tina's not a girl, Tommy's not a boy, Neil Patrick Harris isn't straight, Rebel Williams is...
Alright, cool, whatever. It's quite long, this one. But yeah, so this guy's talking about whitewashing stuff. Anyway, yeah, so what we're talking collective black people having friends. Yes, so what we're saying is, as you see, historically, Europeans have made a whole lot of gender, race, whatever, swapping characters to make them white, whatever. And no one was really complaining, i.e. them. But now they've made Ariel black. There's a big hullabaloo. So this ties into the quote, collectively black people have no friends. There you go. And a constructively black man, a constructively black woman, make a constructive black family. Well, how that's tied to today's topic, the way I discern is really good in this one, by the way, is we were talking about Empress Taytu and her husband Malik, and how she was the rock that he depended on for most of his, most of the behind the scenes work that was, very tedious and stuff. She handled it really well. So once again, constructive black man, constructive black woman, make a constructive black family. So yes, you liked how I discerned through that. That was very good. Very good. Now we are 4 minutes before we're going to end the show, unless someone jumps on. Don't jump on, just keep the show going. If you want to talk about today's topic, let me skip to where is it? The topic of today, which is we covered the Queen tattoo, and I had one other video of actually Ethiopian sister talking about her, which looks like this.
Someone who loves to learn about the African continent.
Very nice smile. So it's good when people smile.
About the new developments, transitions, entrepreneurship, businesses, trade deals, and a bit of history. Make sure to like and subscribe to this channel because you would were Britain, France, monarchs. Taytu also played chess. She composed poetry. She was a creative.
There you go. So this is just picking up Empress Taytu there. She has another 10 minutes video, but I chose the other one because the other guy had pictures and stuff. Even though this woman's nice smile is good to look at, the other guy's pictures, so he won. So we looked at that one. But yeah, so that's what's today's topic. We will be ending in precisely 3 minutes. If there's any questions, throw them in the forum. If you want, like I said, next week we will be covering part 4 of Queen Focus. So any black woman you want us to cover, feel free to let us know. Let me see if I can find. Let me go through a list of some that we might be covering. Give me 17 seconds. See if I can find that. Big up, Brother Kel. Brother Kel was on it. He was. He found it was a black woman focus. He kicked down the door with a whole load of lists, and he was like, "Brother, there's some women we need to talk about." Oh man, I should really start finding my stuff better, man. It's like, oh yeah, I did find it. 10 points to me. So some women we might be covering is Queen Awalayo. I think she might be a Somali queen. Queen Amnes of the Kush Empire. Very good warrior queen, that one. Queen Yaniga. Then the Queen Goldie Ethiopia. Queen Ifunrut of the Timbu Benin from Benin. Queen Nani of the Maroons from Jamaica. Very important woman. She's on. I don't know if it's a 10 or. I don't know what note it's on, but she's definitely one of the notes. Mangu of Niger, and then we have Tawa of East Niger. So you throw a very good list, and then obviously there's some others like, Alpha Jones, African Caribbean, Rosa Parks, Afina Shakur, Charlotte-based Gravitz of the co-president, Anna J. Cooper of North Carolina, and obviously Amy Garvey, and so a few others. But if there's any women you want to cover a family, let us know. We shall cover it. But that's the list I've worked thus far. So I'll be chopping up to see which one we shall be going through. You see, which one we will be going through. But family, let us do a recap before we close down. I'm going to do a recap of today's show. So we started today's show by talking about Queen Focus, and we focused on Empress Taytu of the Ethiopia, as we are doing our Queen, a Black Queen Focus. So obviously the sister had to be mentioned. Yep, got that one. Cool. And then we moved on to the Hullabaloo issue that was going on recently with Disney's new film, Little Mermaid, and having a black woman player. And obviously, I discerned saying that white people have been practicing race swapping for many years, and there was no complaints. They also were practicing blackface, which they carried on. Still today, to be honest, for many parts. But we said that actually the true solution isn't trying to get roles in European run stories and stuff, films and that. It's good to get paid and you have an actor. I'm not going to say nay or yay, but I think while you're doing that, you want to be using your finance and opportunity and time to build up black run media companies that create black content where all the characters are written by for black people. And that's really important. I'm surprised we don't really have a bigger movement to do that. Once again, I did start by saying that unfortunately black people are collectively inadequate. And these things, a lot of us don't mind being subservient, this kind of stuff. But I would suggest we try. I might not be the guy. My charisma might not be as high, or might not be able to spin on my head and give a message. So, if you're out there in the world and you have a great charisma, great social presence, whatever, remember teaching black people to practice black betterment is important. Teaching them ownership. Every time they're thinking, how can they make something black focused? How can I make black content, black books, black video games, black, black, because the knock-on effect is tremendous. So what does that mean? It means that, if you get a film made, then you can hire black people to act it. If a black guy writes it, then his film gets put on the TV or the play or whatever, right? You try to create an ecosystem for black people that makes life easier and better. Because unfortunately, you tend to find that black people have a terrible existence. Many do, right? And some have culturalized pain, so they don't even know. That's what it is. We will be covering those kind of topics as well. People who don't even know there's an issue. You see me when I'm debating, you can tell that they've culturalized pain and they don't even know. But it is what it is. So, family, this is the Betterment Broadcast. We're going to end after pretty much an hour. My thing says an hour. Well, because I didn't find the intro over here. But we're going to end now. So, tell a friend that while I go, please, when you have time, do it now. Do it now. This is a quote from Arnold Schwarzenegger. Go to the Instagram and Black Women Building, and please follow. Tell your friend, tell a friend to be a friend. If there's any black women queens, give us a message that you want us to cover. Feel free to tell. If you know any charismatic people who want to come and speak about certain things, invite them to the show. The show isn't a one-sided Raven talking about what he wants. It really is a community show. But obviously, people have to have the courage to jump on and all that good stuff. But until next week, hope you have a good time. And I'll be picking who's going to be next week's Black Queen Focus. But if you got any suggestions, let me know. But until then, goodbye, 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 goodbye. Goodbye.